Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Uday Kumar Khan. Today I am going to give a demonstration on the experiment to verify Malus law using a pair of Polaroids. And before going into the details of the discussion of Malus law, let me first discuss about the unpolarized light, polarized light, plane or linearly polarized light, and how a Polaroid can be used to generate plane or linearly polarized light. So the light coming from sun, from a bulb or from a candle, all the lights are electromagnetic waves. So all these lights have E field, electric field, magnetic field in perpendicular to each other in the plane of the board, while the light is moving in this direction. So the propagation vector k is perpendicular to both the electric and magnetic field, and the electric and magnetic field, they are also mutually perpendicular to each other. And this E and B oscillate, and the vibration in general is like this. So while the light is propagating this way, the electric field having vibration like this, and at the same time it is rotating. So this is the schematic of unpolarized light, where the electric field is rapidly oscillating or vibrating when the propagation is along this direction. And this vibration has the equal probability in all the directions, having same amplitude. And this vibration, this is called the unpolarized light. And this vibration can be resolved into two independent rectangular directions. One is along this direction and other one is along this direction. So we have two components perpendicular to each other. And here I have showed the two components separately. So this figure, this oscillation or this vibration of the electric field, and here this vibration of the electric field is shown. Now, if by some means we are able to cut off one of the two oscillations, then the unpolarized light becomes polarized like this. And this is done with the help of a Polaroid. So a Polaroid, it's a transparent material like nickel, tourmaline crystal, etc. So if the light is allowed to pass through the Polaroid like this, then this will be able to cut off one of the two oscillations. So in this case, this Polaroid is allowing only this vibration of the electric field, vertical vibration of the electric field, and this is achieved as the Polaroid material is having optic axis. So this optic axis is along this direction. So it is allowing, the Polaroid is allowing only the parallel component of the optic axis through this. So we are having here, after the Polaroid, this particular vibration. So this is E1. Now if we have another Polaroid like this, having optic axis perpendicular to the optic axis direction of this plate P1, then this will not allow this particular vibration of the electric field. Therefore, we will not get any light here. So you get completely dark here. On the other hand, if the optic axis becomes like this, that means if the angle between the two optic axes becomes theta, because with respect to this direction, this optic axis has angle theta, then we will be able to get some light here, and that light will have amplitude E1 cos theta. If the incident light in the second polarizer has the amplitude E1, then the second Polaroid will give light E1 cos theta. This pair of Polaroid, this one is the polarizer, actually polarizes the unpolarized light, and that way we can consider this polarizer or Polaroid is filtering out one particular vibration of electric field, and the second one is analyzing this electric field vibration. So this is called analyzer. So this one is the polarizer and this one is the analyzer for me. Both are the Polaroid having optic axis. An optic axis is not a particular direction, it is a plane. So all the lines are in a plane, and that plane is the plane of transmission. So this unpolarized light becomes polarized here, having E1 in a particular direction. So when the light propagates this way and electric field vibrates in a particular direction, then this light is called the plane polarized light or linearly polarized light. All the photographic action, all the optical phenomena is responsible due to this electric field. That's why this electric field E is called the light vector. Next, I come to the Malus law. So, what I discussed so far can be understood clearly from this picture. Suppose this is the plane of polarizer and this is the plane of analyzer, as I showed you here, and the angle between them is theta, as I explained earlier. And if the amplitude of the wave incident here, that means this wave or this electric field has the amplitude A0, then A0 cos theta will be allowed by the analyzer and A0 sin theta will get blocked. So the light will get here, he is having amplitude A0 cos theta, and as the intensity of light is proportional to the square of the amplitude, therefore intensity will be I0 cos square theta, where I0 is the incident intensity at the analyzer surface, and this equation is called the Malus law. And from this equation what we find, if theta is equal to 0, that means this theta becomes 0, so this axis and optic axis of this becomes parallel. In that case, cos theta becomes 1 and A becomes A0, and similarly I becomes I0. So whatever amplitude becomes incident on the analyzer, same amplitude we get here, or whatever intensity be incident here, we get the same amount of intensity here. And if theta is equal to pi by 2, then A becomes 0, because cos pi by 2 is equal to 0 and I also becomes 0. So we don't get any light here. So if we plot I versus theta, then what we find, at 0, theta is equal to 0, theta is equal to 180 degree, we get the maximum intensity, and that value becomes I0. And at theta is equal to 90 and 270, we get the minimum value, and that minimum value is 0. Similarly, if we plot intensity here, so this intensity is transmitted intensity through the analyzer. So if we plot IT versus cos square theta, then we get a straight line passing through the origin and having slope I0. And now I come to the experimental arrangement. So this is my experimental arrangement, schematic diagram of the experimental arrangement. I have a laser, then I have a polarizer, I have analyzer, and to measure the light I have a detector, and then I have a meter here. This detector can be a photodetector or a light dependent resistor, LDR. So if detector D measures the intensity directly, then we can plot IT versus theta or IT versus cos square theta, and we can verify Malus law. But usually we don't get the intensity meter in the laboratory. Then we can have ordinary multimeter which can measure the voltage proportional to the photon intensity, proportional to the number of photons falling on the detector. So in the multimeter we can get the voltage or amplitude of the signal. So from this equation we can obtain the theoretical value of A and experimentally obtained value of A for particular theta. So ideally we can have intensity theoretical value and intensity experimental value, and we can have a plot like this with a slope 1. So this is a straight line passing through the origin. Or we can have amplitude experimentally obtained and amplitude theoretically obtained. That will also give a straight line graph like this passing through the origin having slope 1. So by measuring the experimental value of amplitude and comparing with the theoretical value of amplitude for a given theta and plotting the graph A theoretical versus A experimental, we can verify the Malus law. So now let's do the experiment. This is the experimental setup to verify Malus law. This is my laser. I have taken helium neon laser for my experiment. This is polarizer, analyzer, detector and multimeter. And this polarizer, analyzer, detector, they are mounted on an optical bench. So this laser light is coming out from the laser and falling on a Polaroid. This is Polaroid. So it is a sheet. It is a sheet having optic axis. And if we rotate it, then the optic axis rotates. So for convenience, we have a mount for the Polaroid. And to get the angle of rotation, we have a circular scale on the mount and a pointer. So the optic axis is along this direction. So pointer indicates the optic axis direction. And same thing is there for the analyzer also. So identical two Polaroids are used. This first one is called the polarizer, second one is called the analyzer. Now the light coming out from the laser source, tiny spot, as we know, this light is coherent, this is directional, and we have to make sure the light polarizer and the analyzer should be kept perpendicular to the path of the light, and this polarizer and analyzer should be parallel to each other, and the light spot should fall at the middle of the polarizer and the analyzer. And this is my detector. Detector should receive the light properly. So it should illuminate the detector inside the hole. And the heights can be adjusted here, here also, and this motion, perpendicular motion, can be also given with the help of these micrometer screws. So you can adjust this direction for all three stands, that is for polarizer, analyzer and the detector. Now I have to first check this laser light is polarized or not. So for that I am making the laser light fall on the polarizer, and then this is white paper. Now I am rotating the polarizer. So intensity is almost uniform. So whatever light coming out of the polarizer is having uniform intensity. While I am rotating the polarizer, there is no variation of intensity. The reason may be two different. So the first reason may be that this laser is unpolarized light, and secondly, a mixture of linearly polarized light and circularly polarized light. So now I am making this light fall on the photodetector, and photodetector output is taken in a multimeter here. This multimeter is giving the voltage corresponding to the light intensity. And what we find, this is maximum when my Polaroid is kept at an angle 10 degree here. Now I introduce analyzer here, and this should be kept parallel to the polarizer, and the light is coming out. Okay, so light is taken through the analyzer to the detector. Now, if I look at the light, then what we find, if I rotate, okay, so it is becoming 0, then it is becoming maximum, then again it is becoming zero, again it is becoming maximum. So full rotation of 360 degree gives 2 maxima, 2 minima, and the maxima is here. When these two axes, optic axes, are parallel, we get the maximum light. So the reading in the multimeter is maximum, something like 290 millivolt or so. Okay. So what is happening here? This light becomes polarized after passing through the polarizer, and the plane of polarization is parallel to the optic axis direction. And in the analyzer, the light passing through becomes maximum when the optic axis of the analyzer becomes parallel to the optic axis of the polarizer, and it becomes minimum when the axis of the analyzer is perpendicular to the axis of the polarizer. So these two are the extreme cases. Theta is equal to 90 and theta is equal to 0. So for verification of Malus law, I have to take what is the voltage reading corresponding to different angle theta of the analyzer. So what I see here, this light is maximum. That means the optic axis of polarizer and analyzer are parallel when the reading of the pointer is 100, and this is 0 when the reading is 190. So I have to take the reading of the multimeter, that means the detector output, for 100 degree, 110 degree, 120 degree, 130 degree, like this up to 190 degree. So we have to take the reading of the voltage amplitude of the light corresponding to the angle in steps of 10 degree. Theta we must vary in steps of 10 degree, and then we have to check from the relation A is equal to A naught cos theta, and the A naught is the maximum intensity what we record when the two optic axes are parallel to each other. That means when this theta corresponds to 0 degree and the pointer reading will be 100 degree. So this way, if we calculate the theoretical value and the experimental value corresponding to each theta and plot a graph along the x-axis experimental value and along the y-axis a theoretical value, then we will have a straight line graph passing through the origin, and the slope of the graph will be 1, and that way we will be able to verify the Malus law. So let's get back to the whiteboard once again. So I have given the demonstration of how to verify Malus law with the help of a laser light and polarizer, analyzer and a photodetector and a multimeter. Now one or two points I want to mention. What I discussed in the beginning of my lecture, that was unpolarized light. So this is an incoherent source where all the photons are randomly moving, therefore there is no fixed phase relation between them. On the other hand, when the electric field oscillates in a particular direction, like this or in this direction, then it is linearly polarized light. And if this E vector rotates on a circle, that means the tip of this E vector or the light vector, if it traces a circular path, that means it is vibrating and at the same time it is rotating. Then this type of light is called circularly polarized light, and this rotation may be in the anticlockwise direction or in the clockwise direction. Similarly, if this electric field rotates and the tip of the electric field traces out an ellipse, then elliptically polarized light. So, verify Malus law, we have used this setup. We had laser, we had polarizer, analyzer, detector, multimeter, and we have recorded the amplitude of the light falling on the detector with the help of multimeter, and with the variation of theta, what is the amplitude? So we can note, so theta AT, this can be T. So theta should be 0, 10, 20 like this up to 90 we have to take, and then this 80 we have to take. So this is the experimental value, and what we get from the theory, that is a T theoretical value. Then we have to match it, and if we plot a experiment, a theory, then we will get a straight line curve like this passing through the origin, and the slope of the curve will be 1, and this A0 we must record when theta is equal to 0. So this reading will be by A0. Usually there is a little bit of absorption of light in the polarizer or analyzer. Therefore, the amount of light falling on the polarizer or analyzer will have more intensity than the light coming out of the polarizer or analyzer. Okay. I hope you all will be able to perform the experiment in the laboratory. Students will be very happy. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.